Okay, good afternoon, Year 7. I'm sorry I can't be with you for a live lesson today. I'm in school on the key worker rota, so there might be a few of you that I bump into. And for the rest of us, I hope you've had a brilliant half term. So we're going to be having a look at some more work on ratio today. So we're actually going to be looking at the same activities that Mr. Kumar went through. It's just such an important activity that I want us to spend a little bit more time on it and make sure we've got this completely locked in. So there's going to be some different activities for us. If you moved on to the purple or brain teaser activity yesterday, there's going to be an opportunity to have some time to complete that as well. So starter activity for you is about simplifying ratios. That's back a couple of lessons ago. So I'm going to ask you to have a look at those questions, please. And then if you want to pause the video or stop the presentation until you've had a go at these, and when you restart, I'll run through some answers. Okay, so first one here, we've got to simplify this ratio. Remember, that means divide through the numbers until we get into their lowest form that we can. We don't want to get any decimals in this. That's going to be a particular part of ratio you might look at in later years. So try and keep them as whole numbers, much as you would with a fraction. So the first thing to identify is what times table has these numbers in. So 25 and 35, and they're both in the 5 times table. So let's divide them both by 5. How many 5s make 25? That's 5. How many 5s make 35? That's 7. So that's going to be our simplified ratio, 5 to 7. Simplify the ratio here, 18 to 45. Now, again, this can be done maybe in a couple of steps if you can't spot the times table straight away. I know 18 and 45 are both in the 9 times table. So let's divide them both by 9. How many 9s make 18 is 2. How many 9s make 45 is 5. So we get 2 to 5. Now, we'll just give us a little bit more time on this same question because some of us might not have spotted 9 straight away. So what other things can we do? I'd first off look at the numbers. Are they in the 2 times table? And that's a really easy one. No, because we've got an even number and an odd number. So then I'd actually move up to 3. And are they in the 3 times table? Well, yeah, they actually are. So I could divide them through by 3. How many 3s make 18? That's going to be 6. And how many 3s make 45? 45 divided by 3. Don't be afraid to show some working out. 1 at 3 with 1 left over, and 5 3, so that's 15. So 6 to 15 at the moment. But what we need to do then is have a look again. Can we divide these 3 by anything? So what times table has 6 and 15 in them? And again, it's the 3s again, actually. So let's divide 3 by 3 again. And we get our 2 to 5 as our final answer. So you might do it in 2, 3, maybe 4 steps for a big number. But let's try and get these done, the best that we can. So much in a similar way for our part C here. Simplify the ratio 300 to 25. Now, if you were really sharp with this, you might have spotted that actually you can divide both of these numbers straight away by 25, and you'd be able to get straight to our answer. That might not be the case for everyone, so I'm going to do this in a quicker, a slower way, but you should still get the same answer. So if you did spot the 25 as a factor, really, really well done on this. So I'm going to say that 325, we've got a number that ends in a 0, so I know that's in the 10 times table or the 5 times table. This number ends in a 5, so I know it's in the 5 times table. So I know that both of these numbers are in the 5s. So let's divide them through by 5. 30 divided by 5 is 6, so 300 divided by 5 is 60. And 25 divided by 5 is 5. I can then have a look at what times table has 60 and 5 in, and much in the same way, the 5's in the 5 times table and 60 ends in a 0, so it's in the 10s or the 5s. So I can divide 3 by 5 again. So I didn't put my divide by 5 working out there, sorry. That's going to be 12 to 1, and that's our simplified ratio. So remember, it doesn't need to be done in one single step, though if you can spot those really high common factors, it'll give you a huge time advantage on this. Having a look then, we're looking at a whole topic on proportional reasoning at the moment. So solve simple problems in ratio written in words. Well, we've done that, the simple problems, a couple of lessons ago, where you were looking at a worded problem, so it might be the ones about like the apples or the ice creams. Solve problems involving ratio written in words. We'll be looking at that today. Use scale factors, that's upcoming. solve problems using unequal sharing or grouping. Well, that is our ratio problems you looked at last lesson with Mr. Kumar. So we've done that as well. We're going to spend a bit more time on it today. And this is the same version where we might need some multiples in. And then the stage 7, comparison of measurements using ratio notation. Yeah, you've done. We've looked at the link between ratios and fractions and things like that with me. Simplify a ratio by cancelling common factors. Well, you've just done that as your starter. Dividing into 2-part ratio, or divide a quantity into 2 parts, giving a part to whole ratio. Well, you can do one of those today, and you did last lesson with Mr. Kumar as well, and the other part that comes in an upcoming lesson. So we've got quite a bit of a way through this topic. So similar learning objectives today: divide using a diagram, divide into a part-to-part ratio. Some of us might move to 3-part ratios, and then some of us will be doing some problem solving with unequal sharing, i.e. more ratios or fractions. So the way I'd suggest that people start off all of these problems with these bar model diagrams. Some of us might be able to look at the mental methods behind that and straight away move to some mental methods for these questions. But if in any doubt, draw the bar diagram for them. So Alex and Thomas share 30 sweets and they divide them in the ratio of 3 to 2. So how many sweets does Thomas have? So I'm going to draw the bar diagram first. So we've got a ratio of 3 to 2. So I'm going to draw 3 boxes for our first person, who's Alex. And we'll draw 2 boxes for our second person, which is Thomas. And then we know there's 30 sweets overall. So the total of all of these is 30. That's our bar model drawn. So you can see now this actually starts to open up some real sort of quite straightforward maths that didn't quite appear so straightforward when we've got the big worded problem here. I can see here that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes to fill, and they've all got to be equal in a ratio problem, remember. So I've got 30 sweets, so I need to do 30 divided by 5, and that's going to give me 6. So each of these boxes has 6 sweets in. Let's just check. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. Yeah, it gets us up to our total, so I know I'm right here. How many sweets does Thomas have? Well, you can see here that Thomas has our 2 boxes here, so he's got 12 sweets, and therefore 12 is our answer. So in this bar model, we're doing quite a few little different steps of maths. What we've actually done is we've taken our amount of our numbers in the ratio, we've added them together to make sure that there's 5 boxes. We've had to do our 30 divided by 5. We've had to split that between all of those boxes. We've had to add Thomas's together. And if you were trying to do this with a mental method, it might be very easy to get lost or miss a step. Whereas if you draw the diagram, it makes things really thoroughly clear to us. So if we move on to another example. Now for this one, Sophie has 60 pencils and the ratio of sharpened pencils to blunt pencils is 4 to 1. How many sharpened pencils does she have? Now you might feel confident to give this one a go, in which case you could pause the video or stop the presentation until you're ready for some answers, or you can listen to me go through in a second. So I'll assume you've had a go and are ready for answers. So Sophie has 60 pencils, the ratio of sharpened to blunt is 4 to 1. So we've got 4 boxes in my bar diagram for the sharpened. I'll put just 1 box for the blunt, and then we know that there's 60 in total. So I can see here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes, so I need 60 divided by 5 to work out how many pencils are in each box. That's 12. So each of these boxes now has 12 pencils in. Who knows why Sophie has so many pencils? That's one of the quirks of these maths problems. So she's got 12 in each box, and we want to know how many sharpened pencils does Sophie have. So we need to add together all of the ones in the sharpened section. So that's 12, add 12, add 12, add 12, which is 48. She's got 48 sharpened pencils. Now it might have said split the 60 pencils in the ratio of 4 to 1, in which case our answer would have been the 48 to 12 from sharpened to blunt. Remember here it only asks us about the sharpened pencils for the final part of the problem, so just 48 is our final answer to this. Now, again, if you're feeling brave, you might want to have a go at this one ahead of me, or you might want to just listen and see how it's done if you're feeling less confident with this. So this is a 3-part ratio. It's actually done in exactly the same manner. We just might find that the numbers become a little bit more difficult to deal with because there's going to be 3 separate parts to the ratio. So divide £700 in the ratio of 5 to 3 to 2. Now I might call this like A, B, and C for our people, so I can label it up. You don't need to do this actually. So I need 5 boxes of person A, 3 boxes person B, 2 boxes for person C. So you can see actually developing a mental method for this might be quite useful, because what if we've got a ratio of 20 to 6 to 52, we might not want to write down all of those numbers and draw all the boxes for it. So how many boxes have I got in total? Well, it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Aha, maybe I could have just added these together to get this. There's 10 boxes, so 700 divided by 10 is going to get me 70. So each of these boxes has 70 pounds in. A lot of money to be shared out. And then we want then the ratio to split this into, so we actually need to know our totals for our new part A, new part B, and new part C to put in our final answer. Remember, they're already in the same order, so we don't need to shuffle them around. So I've got 70, 70, 70, 70, and 70 here, so that's 350. In the second part, the B part, I've got 70, 70, and 70, so that's 210. And in the third part, I've just got 270 and 70, so that's 140. Is our final answer for this. So you've done a 3-part ratio here. So you can see here it doesn't actually get more difficult in process wise. It shows that the numbers might be a little bit more difficult, but exactly the same method here as you've done. So drawing these diagrams can be really, really powerful tool. So I'm going to ask you guys to have a look at some questions here. So I've got a green activity. Now obviously it's on its side a little bit small, so I'm going to come back to the green activity in just a moment, which is going to be, and I'll give a little bit of an explanation on this because we might not have done these for a while. Our blue activity, we've got some straight away divide numbers into ratios. So I would draw yourself a diagram to do these and show that bar model. Now you might not actually need to do all of these. As soon as you do a few of them and get really confident with them, you might actually want to move on to the purple activity. So if you do want the green activity, which is the easier one today, here's a little inflated, enlarged version of it. So we're going to answer the questions and cross off the answers from the table. You're then going to have 5 squares remaining at the end. Write the numbers in the empty boxes below and then find the total. Now this looks actually identical to the next exercise, the blue exercise that you had, but the fact that you've got your answers on the grid means that you've got that extra little check there, and if you can't find your answer on the grid, you know you've done something wrong. So here, if I just run through one really quickly, 121 in the ratio of 9 to 2, well, you're going to have 11 boxes in total. So you need 121 divided by 11, and then, so there's going to be £11 in each box. So 11 times 9, you'd have £99 in the first batch of boxes and £22 in the second batch of boxes. And so you're after 99 to 22. That's there right in the middle of the grid, so I can cross that off. And again, once you've gone through all of your questions, as I said, you should have 5 answers remaining. Write them in these boxes here and add up that total to see if you've got your final answer, and that's on the answer sheet. Our purple task is kind of the same idea here, but we've got some worded questions as we've seen before, so you might want to have a look at those. So there's some 3-part ratios kick in here very quickly as well. So have a look at those if you're feeling confident in our ratios. Again, it'd be really nice to see some diagrams here. So if you are working on Class Notebook, you can do them straight onto the Class Notebook there using the insert shapes function, or you can draw them in your book and take a picture to get that up on Class Notebook. And then of course we've got our brain strain activity here. So you will need to download this file from the Learning Cycle 3 week 6 teams section in order to have a look at these questions. And of course, answers are on here as well, so once you come to the end of the lesson, make sure you are self-marking. We shouldn't have any work going up onto the class notebook that isn't self-marked. Of course, fingers crossed, I'll be able to check this in books if it's not in a class notebook in a couple of weeks' time. Okay, I'll leave you to that work. As I say, I am on key worker duty today, so it might take me a few moments to get back to you today, but please, please, please send me that email if you do need support. It probably won't be a good idea to leave a message on Teams site for me, as I might not be able to get back to you or see that coming up as quickly as a straightforward email. So remember, it's red@thereoil.school if you do need any support. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you soon.